Hello, everyone. My name is Shanika Thrash, and my identity inquiry is the physical disability of blindness. And for my noted advocate today, we'll be discussing this beautiful lady here, Miss Helen Keller. So, who was Helen Keller? She was one of the 20th century's leading humanitarians, an American educator, and she not only overcame the adversity of blindness, but deafness as well. So just a little bit of background information on Helen Keller. She was born June 27, 1880 in Tuscumbia, Alabama. In 1882, after contracting what the doctors termed brown fever, which caused very high body temperatures, Keller lost both her sight and hearing at just 19 months. Throughout her childhood, struggling to communicate, her and a friend, Martha Washington, created their own sign language between the two of them and invented 60 signs to communicate with each other. Then at 6 years old, Anne Sullivan, who was a recent graduate of the Perkins Institute for the Blind, began working with Keller and started with teaching her finger spelling. As you can probably imagine, this was not an easy process, as Keller was curious, defiant, and sometimes refused to cooperate with Sullivan's instructions. But they continued to work at it, and it got better. Keller, throughout her educational career in her life, did master 5 methods of communication, those including touch lip reading, braille, speech, typing, and fingerspelling. Keller also wrote her first book entitled The Story of My Life with the help of Sullivan and Sullivan's husband, John Macy. This book covered her journey from childhood up until 21 years of life. A little bit about her formal education background. Keller attended the Horace Mann School for the Deaf for speech classes in 1890. Then in 1894, she attended the Wright Hugh Mason School for the Deaf in New York City. Here she also worked on improving her communication skills and also studied her regular academics. In 1896, she attended the Cambridge School for Young Ladies, which was a preparatory school for women. In 1900, Keller attended Radcliffe College, in which Sullivan also accompanied her to interpret lectures and texts. 4 years later, 1904, Keller graduated from Radcliffe College. Contributions. Helen Keller made various contributions in advocating for the blind, as she did in other areas in hopes to improve the lives of others. So just to highlight a few, she testified before Congress advocating to improve welfare of blind people. In 1915, she co-founded Helen Keller International along with George Kessler to combat the causes and consequences of blindness and malnutrition. In 1920, she helped found the American Civil Liberties Union, or ACLU, which is a nonprofit organization to defend and preserve the individual's rights and liberties guaranteed by the Constitution and laws of the United States. In 1924, she became a member of the American Federation for the Blind and participated in various campaigns to raise awareness, money, and support for the blind. She also joined the Permanent Blind War Relief Fund, later called American Braille Press. Then in 1946, she was appointed Counselor of International Relations for the American Foundation of Overseas Blind. Keller often visits various schools for the blind to work with children. Here she's seen reading Braille with students in Switzerland. Here's another picture of Keller with Anne Sullivan. The day that Sullivan began working with her, she brought a doll as a gift and to use as a learning tool to start teaching Keller fingerspelling. In doing this, she would have the doll in one hand and manually spell out the letters of the object in the other hand. Throughout her life, Keller received many honors and recognitions for her contributions and accomplishments. Just to name a few, the Theodore Roosevelt Distinguished Service Medal in 1936 and the election to the Women's Hall of Fame in 1965. So as you can see, Helen Keller was a woman full of courage, intelligence, determination, talent, and drive. I'll leave you with this quote from Keller. We differ, blind in seeing one from another, not in our senses, but in the use we make of them. in the imagination and courage with which we seek wisdom beyond the senses.